All right, guys, welcome to Optimizing Forward, guys, where we discuss all things optimization related, guys. Live stream for the day today, got a haircut. Let's go ahead and some, make a video. I'm going to try to keep a consistent schedule here like I used to do. Again, I'm not particularly motivated to be real with you to do YouTube anymore, but it is the simplest thing that I'm still good at. I'm very good at making videos, and I'm good at talking. So simplest thing to do. So yeah, guys. So kind of in this live stream, what I wanted to go over, right, is the notion of competency skill sets, right? So the first thing I want to delineate is there is these differences that exist right now in terms of different competencies, right? So let's say if we look at like the chess experiment, right, guys? So believe it or not, guys, I'm kind of nearing the end of this experiment. Um, and what I want to go over in this experiment, I think like the event I'm going to go to is going to be in sometime in October. I probably won't be strong enough, and it's not because I couldn't get good enough. It's just because there has been a struggle to juggle all these different things I'm trying to do. A lack of organization, a lack of focus, many different things I don't want to get into as to why I'm not as strong as I should be, right? Like I should probably, if I was just focused on chess, I'd probably be about like 2,300 right now, but I'm unfortunately about 1,900, 2,000, a little above 2,000. I guess the nice thing is I've been able to hold my skill level. I haven't really lost too much strength, so I'm kind of happy about that, at least, I guess. But I play games every other couple of days to kind of maintain my level, which is not that high by my standards. I feel like, honestly, guys, I feel like I should be like 3,000 rating in chess. I feel like I should be 2,900. I feel like I'm too low rated. Feels 2,000 doesn't feel like a high rating anymore. Neither is 2,000 rapid. But I kind of what I want to go over, and we're gonna go to the whiteboard. One of my favorite things I like to do is to visualize the things that we do. Right, we're gonna go to the whiteboard. We're gonna investigate what's going on. Right, one of the things that I've talked about for a long time before I go to the whiteboard, I want to make it distinguish between theory versus practice. So I have a theory of a theory, right? That there are theory-based individuals such as myself. I would describe myself as very theory-based. I make a theory about something, I speculate, I analyze, and then I implement very poorly. Then there's great implementers, but they're not very good theoreticians, right? So my thing, guys, is very simple. I always want to be able to do both. I don't want to be stuck in one fucking domain of skill set versus the other. And that's what the problem I've been having since I was like maybe 15. I was really good with theory, but I fucking suck in practice. Like fucking trash, right? Like, and that's what I always tell people. No one gives a fuck about your theory, right? Let me make that very clear. Nobody gives a fuck what your theory is. No one gives a shit. Okay. So whenever you have a theory, I don't give a fuck how good your theory is. No one gives a shit, right? It's the same thing in jiu-jitsu, guys. You could have the best theory on how to beat somebody. If you can't beat anybody, no one gives a fuck, okay? It's only what works, guys. That's the only thing that matters. What fucking works? What gets the result? How do you get there, okay? That doesn't mean that theory is not useful. And that's one of the things you'll see in many of my coming videos is these dualities, right? I'm always promoting dualistic thinking rather than dogmatic monomistic thinking, monolinear thinking. We want to be monolinear when it makes sense. I'm gonna be monolinear maybe today with Spanish. Study Spanish the whole day because I have a vested goal in getting as good as I can in this one day with Spanish. Okay, and I'll do nothing else probably for the rest of the day. Okay, unless there appears to be a reason as to why I won't do that. I did a little bit of coding yesterday, did some Python, I wrote some stuff. I was like, maybe I'd try to become a vibe coder, even though AI has basically made coding meaningless. But I've just seeing what I can do. I did some case statements. I made an array here. I print some print statements, and then I'm going to make some more sub-nested cases. Then I pulled up the Python library and I tried studying different things, like iterable, float, imp. I'm actually testing myself right now too. I think the other one is going to be fucking I forget what it's called. It's like iterable len append. Probably gonna make a map as well, but it quickly lost interest. I was like, what the hell is the point? Because I'm trying to find something I'm interested in with coding, but nothing's really coming to mind. So I kind of stopped. I still said, at least I did something today, right? So there's a process. But what I'm trying to get at is there's nothing wrong with a theory, right? Theory is essential. We need theory. We need theoreticians. We need people that can go deeper into thinking so we can investigate what's going on. Because the problem with what I would describe as concrete people, they do not have enough nuanced of thought because they're always using reductionist thinking to simplify. So the best individual is a person who's going to be able to do both. Same thing with like mixed martial arts. It's not the person that can do. Okay, I'll give you guys a good example of this. I was watching this guy yesterday. It was Gordon Ryan. We had Felipe Pena, and I was studying their rolling. Right, something that's a new thing I kind of like to do. I like to study like Gordon Ryan's different types of guard passing systems, looking at his different strategies. Looking at Felipe Pena, how he was able to stop Gordon Ryan from passing his guard. He used the bear trap, and then he was able to wrestle up and then recover his guard. So I'm looking at this theory of two of the most high level grapplers on the fucking planet. Like these guys could snap your neck in a second, right? And they're insanely strong. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. So he gets a bear trap, he gets his leg in there, and he wrestles up. And we have this other I'm trying to remember his name, jiu-jitsu guy. Forget his name. He was beat by Roger Gracie, I believe. Forget his name. Roger Gracie versus Buchecha. That's his name. He's won ADC like 14 times. He's just an incredible dude. Amazing dude, right? Buchecha, and I'm seeing him doing his MMA, and his MMA is just not even comparable to his jiu-jitsu. And then I was watching some more videos talking about rule sets. And then I was like, yeah, that does make sense, right? Because if Buchecha had enough time, then obviously he would be able to use his jiu-jitsu to greater effect. Okay. So there's a theory and then there's a practice. A rule set is a theory made by a theoretician of what he thinks the best rule of the game should be. It's a game, right? And then there's application of the game of the consequences. So before I go into what this video is really about, keep this in mind, right? And we will use the Pareto principle here, right? Theory is like 20%, 80% is going to be the practicality implementation of whatever it is you're doing. At the same time, though, it's the reverse 80-20 Pareto principle in the context that the success of the application comes from the depth of the analysis of the theory. Does that make sense? So we need to make sure we accounted for everything along the way if the circumstance made sense. If someone murders somebody and you're certain of the murder, there's no point in doing the theory. We already have the evidence. But if there's no certainty of it, then we need to make sure our theory is correct. And then we ascertain, we evaluate, we look at all the evidence, we look at all the data. This checks out, this checks out, this checks out. Everything is going on, and then we go from there. Okay. So now what this video is really about, right, in terms of optimizing forward, really that's the crux of this YouTube channel, rather, right? I got rebranded. The old channel had like 5,000 videos, but that never made any money. But not the point. So, right, what we have to remember, here in theory versus practice, right, is I would say the best way to optimize, because I remember I was listening to Gordon Ryan talk to Brian Shaw. These guys have already kind of done, I would describe the best tested method of the module of success, right? And that module of success is a mastery into a generalization. Kind of what I'm doing is the opposite. I was always more of a generalist into a specializations now. But now I'm fucking old and I have a lot of breadth. That's one unique thing about me, guys. I have an insane amount of breadth. I can go in coding, I can go in philosophy, I can go in biology, I can do whatever the fuck I want. So I'm very dynamic in my thinking. That's one of the only few perks of having so much breadth is that there's so much dynamism. I've done fighting, I've done martial arts, I've done jujitsu, I've done dancing, I've done so many different things. So the breadth is there. I can encompass a great deal. I've done business, I've done advertisement, I've done so much shit. Okay. But now you need a specialization. You need to focus on one thing, only one thing, right? It's very difficult for all of us. We want to do so many different things. You only need to pick one thing. And that's the only thing that you're committed to, and you're not really focusing on anything else. Nothing else fucking matters. Okay. And that's just something you have to accept. In order to get really good at something, you have to just sacrifice everything else. Something has to be sacrificed. Anyone who's telling you that you're going to be very good at everything is bullshitting you. It's absolutely impossible. Okay. So let's continue into this video. Like, for example, guys, if let's say this YouTube channel is like 400,000 subscribers, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stop everything else I'm doing and just do YouTube. Why? Because that's what's getting me the results. I don't care about this other dumb stuff. What gets me results? Does that make sense? And once I have my result, then I can go from there. So let's continue here. So kind of what we're going to do, right, is we're going to be a theoretician right now, right? We're not going to be a doer. We're going to theorize about what is optimizing, right? Optimizing is always something that's interesting to contemplate. I'm also trying to see something here real quick. That's annoying. My timer does not appear to be going off. You know what I could do is I could code another timer. First Pomodoro. Now, what I'm thinking about, right, is in terms of everything that I am looking at, right, let's kind of, I'll just use chess, guys, because that's the only thing I've sort of specialized my brain to some degree. I still think I suck to a great degree, but I think it's a damn good example. So chess, right? This is like kind of the really nice thing about chess, guys. It's very measurable. You know what you're saying, like 800. I would say every improvement is about a 200-point improvement. 1,000, 1,200. This is where most normal people are going to stop at. 1,400, it becomes harder. So it's only going to get harder, right? 1,600, every about 200 points, it's going to become exponentially harder. And this is kind of where I am at, right? About 2,150 to 2,000, right? And I got here through a lot of hard ass fucking work, right? Can I get way better than this? Yeah, I think probably my limit maybe like 27, 2,800, probably around there. So that next 600 points is going to be really hard to get. Okay, 2,300, 2,600. I think probably I would say if I'm not busy with anything, I could become an international master. I think that is possible. I think it's very doable. I just need the resources and the time and the commitment and the schedule, and I could do it. Probably bullet, maybe 3,000 bullet. I think even 2,900 for me is possible. I would say if I was 20, I could be even higher than this. Maybe even, I know it sounds insane, guys, but I think even 3,200 for me is possible. And that's insanely high, but that's just the belief I have in myself. So now, you know, like kind of where a lot of you guys are stopping at. This is where I was stuck at for a long time because I just simply never had enough resources or time to dedicate. We're stuck in this really shitty area here. This is the area of competency basically most of you guys are at 1,200 in life, right? And that's kind of what I have to do right now is I have to raise my ELO in other areas of life because unfortunately chess just doesn't have money in it, right? So, kind of what's happening here is that you don't know what it takes really to get to about my level, 2000. The order of magnitude that I am better at than you guys in here is like 10x. Okay. But it required a chess coach, right? Which I haven't had in a couple months. Study, books, videos. And this formula that I theorized about many months ago would be true of anything. If you watch tons of videos on code, if you got a coding mentor, you got a coding coach, you would probably get dramatically better. If you have like Gennady Korkovich, right? He's like a red coder, teach you how to code at a high level. You're probably going to absorb some of his fucking knowledge and become so fucking good, right? Generalization. So, unfortunately, I'm not quite near the end of the experiment. In order for me to claim I'm a master, right? To properly say I'm a master, I have to be about 2,500. So I'm about probably FIDE 2,100. FIDE about 2,000. 2,200 is the first master level time. I'm probably about like 1,800 FIDE maybe. So I still have 400 more points to go. And those 400 points are really, really hard for a lot of people. A lot of people stop around this range because it just takes so much goddamn time. So many games you have to play, so much effort you have to put in. It's a lot. Okay. So now I'm going to use one of these words I used to use a long time ago when I used to write essays, right? By corollary, right? What I mean by corollary, by the corollary of the implication of what I just discussed, what can I extrapolate of value from this? Well, what you would have learned if you had gone through this process, you got past 1,200, which is like, I would say $21 an hour at most jobs. If you're elite, your compensation goes up dramatically. You make $200,000, 400, $1 million. That's how much money you're going to be making. The compensation level is not comparable. It isn't comparable. It's not even close. But the problem you have to understand is that most jobs don't want you to get this good. They don't want that. You might think, so guys, if you think about it in terms of a business perspective, guys, I want my employee to be elite level with minimum wage compensation. That's what I want. Why? Because why would I want to pay you what you're actually worth? I'm going to lose all my money. I'd rather increase my revenues. I would rather just give you $1 raise thinking you're doing a good job. Here you go, John. Here's $1 raise. Okay. But the other thing you have to remember, guys, is that when the Industrial Revolutions happen, this is why I've started reading more books again, right? I'm reading this book called Man, Economy, and State by Murray Rothbard. He talks about the praxeological approach in economics, in human action, in the subjective nature of value. And I'm still trying to understand these different things, but during the Industrial Revolution, one of the things that the design or the conveyor line did is it deassembled mastery into dumbed down parts. Okay. It was both a revolution and I think a setback in human history because humans have lost the ability to understand how to master anything. We all have lost the ability. We know none of there's only a select few number of masters at anything anymore. I was stuck in Las Vegas for about 3 days. I played a chess grandmaster. And when I played him, it was obvious this was a true master of his craft. He was a master. And when I mean a master, he is a master. I would say I'm more like a Jedi Knight, right? I probably like the level of like an early Jedi Knight. I'm like, I can go against the master, but the master will kill me after like 30 seconds because they're that much better than I am. Okay. So, like imagine me going against Yoda, right? I'll last a little while, then he'll slaughter me, right? Now, if you go against me, I'm literate. I'm beyond intermediate level. I'm in the advanced level, right? So I won't destroy you, but I'm just simply not a master. Just not. There's still too many holes in my understanding. And the issue, what I'm trying to say is that to be a true optimized individual, the fundamental paradigm shift between 2022, since I last made videos, right? It's really when the last time I really discussed anything of relevance to now in those 4 years is that the difference now versus then is the mastery component in optimization. Now that's the new component that I did not understand back then. Okay. I had a great deal of knowledge. I had a great deal of wisdom. I had a great deal of abstraction, but it wasn't grounded in anything. That's why I wasn't really getting any results, right? There's just no results to be had because there's no experience in understanding regimen and understanding schedule and understanding adherence to policy, rules, regulations. So then what ends up happening is I'm going to go to the opposite, which is kind of what pretty much everyone has, and then they kind of use the same fucking stupid ass excuse. Oh, I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. I'm like, bro, just shut the fuck up already. Like, you're fucking dumb right now. Like, that means you suck at everything. That's not like guys. If you say this, I personally don't think you're basically insulting yourself. You're basically saying you're a lazy piece of shit who is unwilling to work hard to attain the higher levels of success. Any dumbass can read a 100-page book and say they're an economist. Any idiot can do that. That's not that fucking hard. You know what's hard? Studying economics for 10 years, reading thousands of pages of books, and actually trying to say something that actually fucking matters. Okay. It's the lazy way out. It's the lazy fucking thinking. Okay. So now we have the oppositional of this. Now, I'm not gonna say jack of all trades because I think that's fucking retarded, but I would just say the generalists, right? There are more generalists. We have a lot more generalists nowadays, right? Nothing wrong with being a generalist, right? We have these two dichotomies in the world right now that I'm saying specialist versus the generalist, right? But in reality, a specialist is not even a master. Let's not confuse the two. A master is a top 1% specialist. It is a subset of the set of specialists. Okay. A master is literally the most elite. They are paid the most money because they are the fucking best in the world. That's how good they are. They are so good. They're like Delta Force, right? That's how good they are. They're like 0.01% of the population. They're that good. I'm probably like maybe like 1% of the population to 5%, which to me is depressing considering all the effort I put in. But again, I'm not entitled to the results here. But the point is, right, is that if you're like a generalist, right, you're kind of like me. You're kind of like doing all these different things. You know, you're getting a great survey of knowledge, right? This is one thing you have a great survey of the knowledge. You're a good theoretician. You can make these theories, right? A theory. You can kind of intuit, right? That's another thing I'm good at. I can intuit things. I can have this intuition about the world, the reality, right? We're going to intuit the reality, we're going to intuit the world, but we're not really able to do much more than this, right? Intuiting, guys, is like chess intuition. I can feel where the right move is, but if I can't calculate it, you're kind of just an idiot. You have to calculate concretely to be better. Okay. So kind of there's these benefits of both sides. Typically, a master is almost always going to be a better implementer than I would say a specialist is a greater implementer than theoretician. A master is both. He is a master theoretician and master implementer. That is what you really want to be. Master theoretician and doer, right? So we're kind of going over all these different ideas so that we can kind of deconstruct what we need to do. So if we could live life, right? Because when we're young, we have a lot of time, and as we get older, we get less time. This is why as you get older, you can't master as many things. There's just not enough time. There's not enough time. You're going to die. 29, like right now. I still have just enough time to do a couple more things, right? But I can't do as many things, unfortunately. That's the depressing part about getting old. You just simply can't do everything you would like to do. You can do things, you just can't do them as many things. So where I want to get at with this video is that a lot of you guys need to, I personally think it's fucking mandatory, get to at least 1600 level. You don't really need to get to this level. This level, honestly, for most of you guys isn't even worth it, because it's like you have to sacrifice even so much to get there. To get to here, most of you guys will never reach here no matter how hard you try. Okay, that's the honest answer. Okay, I know it's gonna be very depressing for you guys, but you will never get there. You just simply have to have a right circumstance with the right resources, the right coach. Like I probably couldn't have gone to my level had I not had my coach. If you didn't have a coach, you're never going to get there. So just think about these things as you're trying to go for it and as you're trying to get there. Okay. In terms of optimization, right? If we go back to life, most of the best people in the world start at 5, 6, 7 years old every single time. There's almost no person that is the fucking best in the world that didn't start at that age. There's not a single fucking person. We're starting them at 6, 7 years old, and we're getting them insanely fucking good when their brain is stupidly plastic. So what I'm saying is, wherever you find yourself, get as close as you can to at least 1600. Okay. If you have a kid, get them to 2200, get them to where I'm at, or even higher is the better. I think literally it's mandatory to have this experience once in your life so you can keep replicating it. Okay. You know, like in like jujitsu, right? There's like these insane 18-year-olds who already have black belts, right? Because they've been doing it for fucking 15 years by the time they're 20. Same thing with a pianist, already did it. And you know what the really part that's really cool is that, like, after they've mastered that, like, it doesn't really even matter if they don't master anything else for the rest of their life, because now they know what it took to get there. And I mean true legitimate mastery, not bullshit mastery, not some stupid ass course someone's selling you, not some like quick fast trick that's going to get you there. None of that. I'm saying legitimate expertise. I mean an expert, and I don't mean like a knowledge expert. This is another thing a lot of people conflate with being an expert. A knowledge expert is not the same as a doer expert. I mean to do an ability at an elite level that a random person can't just copy. A knowledge expert might have a whole bunch of knowledge they've been mastered for 20 years, but a novice can learn the same knowledge of the expert by simply reading books. A doer expert cannot replicate the same skill unless they put in the hours and the time. Like if you guys do go against me in jiu-jitsu, right? I will destroy you because you haven't done jiu-jitsu. You would just have to be on the mat for all those hours, or you would just get destroyed. Okay, like it's not comparable. It's and the purpose, right, is if you do what I did, or it wasn't even like something I did, it just happened. What is the benefit, right? I would say that you have more dynamic thinking, you have an interesting perspective on the world, you're able to talk to a wide range of people about a wide range of stuff, right? But other than that, I mean, for the most part, it's not the winner of all games, right? It's not the winner of all games. It's not the elite Homo sapien. I want to be the most elite fucking Homo sapien on the fucking planet. The best Homo sapien. So this is a weird question I'm going to ask you guys. Am I the best of the human race? Ask yourself that question. If I was to be a representative that was to go on an alien ship to represent this fucking species, could you represent all of us? If the answer is no, then you have a lot of work to do, because this is what the channel is all about. With whatever time we have until we die, how close can we get there? How close can we arrive? And my theory was right, of course, as I applied it. I was inefficiently training, and I've gotten really fucking close to the goal. Really fucking close, because I'm absurdly determined. If you are absurdly determined, you will get, I would say, 95% of the way to most of your goals. If you're really goddamn determined, if you are really, really determined, I promise you, you will get to the goal. There's not a single thing that will stop you. Not once. If you are determined to finish that book, you will finish it. If you are determined enough, it will happen. Okay. And that's kind of what I'm going to leave this video with you guys. And then maybe the other thing I want to wrap up with is, why is that most people are not elite level, right? Well, this is something that's quite fascinating. It's like, because, like, it seems like that, like, from my perspective, no one is really good at anything. Like, I don't really consider most people, everyone sucks at everything. Like, people just do stuff, but they mostly suck. They can't play an instrument. They can't speak a language. They fucking suck at everything. And like, I think it's fucking embarrassing. Like it never really bothered me for a long time until I realized how much I really suck. Yeah. Until you realize how much you truly suck, then you won't be embarrassed by your lack of skill. Okay. It should embarrass you that you fucking suck. Okay. If you're not embarrassed by it, then you have no sense of honor. Okay. Like, imagine being a samurai and then claiming you're a samurai, but then a little kid can beat you up, right? Then you're not a samurai. You're just a faker. And then what I would say is that, like, from like the 1600s, right? I remember I was thinking about this. I read a biography on Leonardo da Vinci talking about his life from like the ages of 12 to 18, or he was in this shop with this master painter and he was under his tutelage for like 7 years. The master trained him. That's who trained him. When I was in Korea, for example, I had this Korean martial arts master. I was under his tutelage for about 6-7 months, right? He trained me, right? He trained me in karate chops. I learned how to kick. I learned different striking. I learned so many different things under his tutelage. I was his apprentice, if you will, right? That's the thing about Star Wars. I think that all of us love to watch, right? We get to be under somebody's tutelage, under a master, a mentor. A master is more personal than a mentor. Okay. This is what everything I don't like about self-help anymore is they want to give you a mentor. You don't need a mentor. What you need is a master. A mentor, in my personal opinion, is just a guy he's like 1800, right? He's not 2400 level. So mentors, in my opinion, are overrated. A master is a mentor by default. A master is way above a mentor. It's not even close, right? If you take a native speaker from fucking Brazil, that's a master. That's a true master of their skill. I might be a master of English because I've spoken it for 25 fucking years. Okay. So I can dynamically make a whole wide range of cohesive, decohesive sentences and change these adjectives and nouns and pronouns and keep changing it. But it's the same exact thing. The same exact thing with success, right? If you got a mentor in Spanish who spoke at like maybe upper B level, that's just a mentor, I guess, because you study longer. But it's like, why would you get a mentor when you just get a master, right? And that's the other thing I want to distinguish. Don't confuse a mentor for a master. And that's another thing in self-improvement they're not going to teach you about. Get a mentor. Yeah, I'll be like, shut up, dude. I'm not getting a mentor. I'll get a master. And also, a mentor is nowhere near as personal as a master. A master is someone that you meet with every single day for years. We mean years, hours, hundreds. We're talking hundreds of hours. They're almost going to be like your father, your mother. It's that close. I remember when I stopped training with my master, I cried, right? Because you kind of like, it's an intimate bond with another human being. He's training you in something he's dedicated his life to. Okay. It is one of the most intimate experiences that you will experience. I was legitimately sad that I could not train with him again. Okay. Because our training was our bonding experience. And then that training was done. Right. And then he bowed to me and said, "You are a warrior." That's what he told me. And then I left. And then obviously I didn't cry in front of him, but I did cry for a little bit. Okay. So that's what I want you guys to understand. There's a lot that I learned, so many things I learned from being under this guy who did martial arts for 40 years. I learned so much. It's impossible to even go over all of it, right? But by design, the system that we're in is not trying, doesn't want you to get to 1600 level, right? Because like the reality is that like if you were at this level, then you can kind of negotiate your pay. You can kind of I don't want to say you're immune to being fired, but you kind of are because most employees are not 1600 level. They're not. They think they are, but they're not. Okay. I mean true 1600 level. Um, you're gonna be able to ask for more money. You can quit whenever you want. You kind of can't quit whenever you want because you're that fucking good, and you can go wherever the fuck you want, pretty much. Okay, that's what I want for you guys. Okay, now what I'm describing to you is only going to become more and more important because what's literally going to happen right now with AI is we're going to have a mass deprecation in expertise. Expertise is now going to decay because we're all going to give everything to AI, and that's exactly what they want. That's what they want. They want a loss of expertise. Now you need to double down. You need to triple down. You need to get fucking better with AI. AI should be make you a better master. It should make you a better decision maker. But don't use AI as a crutch, right? For example, I remember I was talking to a couple of these high school kids. These kids can't even write essays. They can't write good, basic 5-paragraph essays. The introduction, the thesis statement, the topic sentence, what you're going to talk about, the ending connector of the sentence, the first paragraph, the second paragraph, the third paragraph, and then my conclusion, right? Like, try writing an essay without AI. It's actually really hard to write a good essay. Okay. Then you have to edit the essay like 10 times. You go through it. It's still bad. You keep doing it. You revise it. You do it again. And it takes hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. You change the words, you change the vocabulary. And then finally, after proofreading like 10 times, you write something that's really good. I remember I wrote like 15-page papers that were really difficult to write. And then you read the sentence and it's like, you're like, this doesn't sound good. It sounds terrible, right? Why is it terrible? I don't know. And I guess my final thought for you guys is this thought, right? Don't ever feel like you have imposter syndrome to where you can never feel like you could become the master of yourself. This is something I'm trying to prove to myself that you can be the master that you see on TV. Okay. This is something I want you guys to remember. Okay. This is something that's taken me a very long time to get rid of, right? It's like because like if you think of it like this, right? Imagine your entire life you suck at everything. You've always sucked, right? Does that mean that you can't get good at anything? Does that mean you can't be the best at something? What like that's not what that means. But like in my life, I've always thought that like, well, I suck at everything. I've been mediocre, right? I've been okay at stuff, but I've never been good. I can never get good. That's not what that means. It just means that you never understood how much time it actually takes. That's why you never got any good. And now that I know how hard it is and how much time it really takes, it really does take 5 to 7 years. That's how long it really fucking takes. So what happened is that your brain always had the ability to get that good. It's just that you underestimated how much time it takes to get that good. Okay. Even now it's kind of hard to believe how much training it actually takes to specialize the brain to that level. That's all I have you guys for optimizing for. Please like, comment, subscribe. Message me if you guys want any coaching, guys. I'm going to be selling coaching. That's going to be the main revenue for this YouTube channel. So if you want to fund this channel, I might just make a Patreon page for a new Patreon page so we can make more content, more videos, and we'll go from there. If there's anything you guys want me to make in the next live stream or to discuss, just message me or comment in the live stream.